Hello, you're welcome back. This is your most authoritative news analysis show, Newsfile. I had intended on my take this morning to tell you about some of the offenses that you will be held for if you went to register and you did the wrong thing. But I realize that that is going to be a major feature of the discussion. So in the course of the show, when we are discussing the limited registration, I'll share with you what the law says that you can or you cannot do when you go there. So briefly, I want to share with you that there is not all the time that when the police invite you or the security people invite you that you are obliged to follow them. They can cause an arrest which is an unlawful arrest, which you ought to resist. And when you resist, no consequences will flow. In fact, subsequently, if you can and you sue, you will rather benefit, so to speak. Now, I'm going to read briefly from a book, and I'll show you why. A person is entitled to refuse to attend an invitation from the police if the officers fail to produce a warrant or inform that person of the offense he or she has committed. So note, those are the two critical points. If the police is coming to arrest you or they have given you an invitation, they ought to produce a warrant or they ought to inform you of the reasons for which they are arresting you, which is a crime you may have committed. If they don't do that, you're entitled to refuse. The police, and this is a case, the police were, and the judge, this is what the judgment said, the police were acting in the execution of their duty when they entered the store. But since they had no warrant to arrest the appellant, and since they never told him the nature of the report against him, the appellant was entitled to refuse to accompany them and to ask them to leave. A policeman might arrest without a warrant, and note that there's an occasion when they can arrest without a warrant. Might arrest without a warrant any person who committed an offense in his presence. Any person who committed an offense in his presence. But the conflict of evidence in this case failed to disclose what offense, if any, had been committed and what was the cause of the arrest. An offense justifying an arrest must be one known to the law, and the police could not have arrested the appellant merely for a harmless exclamation he made, whereas the true reason for his arrest was his refusal to go to the police station. The refusal being justified, the appellant was entitled to resist the arrest in self-defense. In this case, they appeared at his store and claimed that there's a reason to arrest him. They didn't tell him anything, and in the court they sought to suggest that he made some exclamation and stuff, and the court held that he could not be arrested and that his refusal to go with them was proper. And note this, after the appellant had refused to accompany the police officers and asked them to leave, they had no right to remain in his store. Thus, at the time the appellant assaulted them, they were trespassers and no longer acting in execution of their duty. And so there is actually a situation where, in one other case, a police officer, a civilian actually assaulted the police, and the court held that it was correct. He ought to have done what he did in self-defense because they did not have a warrant, they did not tell him why he was being arrested, and if you are told of the cause for your arrest, it must be a crime that is found in law. Not any flimsy thing any police officer comes to tell you for which you ought to be arrested. A reason like you were taking a photograph of something in a public place. So I'm reading to you a case of Ampofu versus the state. It's a 1967 Ghana law report. That's where you find it, page 155. And they cannot also arrest without a warrant unless you have committed the offense in their face in that same case. And then where I told you about where they have refused to give the specific reasons for which you are being arrested and which you can refuse that arrest. Also is the case of Asante versus the Republic, 1972, 2 Ghana Law Report 177. And I'm reading from The Lawyer's Companion, a guide to researching Ghanaian Case Law. It's a very fresh book, voluminous book, just launched, and it's available. And I think it's not just for lawyers. You should also get some of it, read some of it, and guide yourself and protect yourself against the unlawful impunity that we come across too often in this country. It's written by Kwame Mensah and Christopher Yanivi. Christopher Yanivi teaches the law. Kwame Mensah is also a lawyer. Of course, he couldn't have written without being a lawyer. And is dedicated to Justice L.L. Mensah, Justice of the Court of Appeal of Ghana. And there is a nice forward that is written by retired Justice of the Supreme Court of Ghana, Justice S.A. Brobe. And he actually recommends that laypersons should also get it. So get the Lawyer's Companion, a guide to researching Ghanaian case law, so that you can also help yourself. Thank you very much. That is by way of my take this morning. Let's now get ready and deal with the matters that we have to deal with on the show. My guests are seated, and I'm looking forward to a very great show this morning. Now, my guests, Abdul Malik Kweku Bako, Editor-in-Chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, is here, as always, with his load of documents. Kobe Fiagbe, he's Managing Editor of the Ghanaian Lens newspaper. Kobe Fiagbe used to be one of those guys who were always on Newsfile that you heard. Haven't heard him on the show in a long, long while. You remember when was the last time you were on the show?
Oops. Sounds good to be back.
All right, great. But I'm sure that being back on the show reminds you of those days when you guys used to engage in very fiery and very interesting
and
ways.
Very productive debates.
Productive debates,
yeah.
Great. All right. Also in the studio is Pius Hajazi. He is a special aide to Nana Akufo-Addo and former parliamentary candidate. Forgive me if I did murder your name.
Yes,
did I get it right?
You did murder your name, but I can forgive you.
Okay.
Next time I come on your show, I can bring you some banku and okro. The name is Hajide.
Hajide. Hajide.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm fed with akple all the time, so you never know. So, thank you. Akple especially made from wademahe, if you know wademahe. Okay. And also in the studio is Kofi Adams, national organizer of the governing National Democratic Congress. Kofi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great. Right. So, first of all, this morning, our preliminary matter has to do with the attack that Ba Echamfo, a very known critic of Nana Akufo-Addo and things that go on within the NPP as far as the new executive, so to speak, is concerned. He's been against almost everything that they do. And if you know about matters that had to come up about police having to chase people up and down and so on, he appears to have, his name appears to have come up a few times on some of those matters. Now, he was in a studio in Kumasi, Fox FM, and whilst having a discussion, we are told that about 6 macho men suspected to be sent by the MPP went to the studio, forcibly entered the studios, beat him up, and that is how things spanned out. Now the police have gotten into the matter, and we want to see how matters pan out. But as always, you know, on this show, we don't entertain any such persons who feel that assault or beating up people they don't agree with is the best way to go. So let's look at that matter first. Pius,
Yes.
it comes again and brings your party back in the light of tension, of fights, particularly at a time when also in a week when Mr. Foko, the suspended chairman, has also revealed a lot of things via the Africa Watch magazine that's been circulated all over the place, saying all the bad things. Some people are actually questioning whether he was really a member of the NPP. This is bad news. You don't want some of these news whilst you are getting ready for the elections.
Well, Samson, I can agree with you. Maybe that was the whole point, to put the MPP back in focus and give the dog a bad name and hang it. So maybe that was the whole point. And the sequence of events worries not just you, not just me, but all our listeners and our viewers as well. And so we, the members of the party, need to be careful. These are very interesting times in the life of the party. But you see, Samson, I'd like to begin by stating clearly, without any ambiguity, that it is unacceptable, it is wrong, that when you disagree with somebody, you want to show it by way of violent act. It is unacceptable and it must be condemned by all well-meaning people. But I think that we should not be too quick to come to conclusions on this matter. Because like you rightly said, this is a matter that is unfolding. The police are just about beginning investigations into the matter. I have heard several narratives as to how the gentleman in question got into Kumasi. Mind you, he stays and lives in Accra. How he got to Kumasi, people he reportedly met in Kumasi before going into the studios. But I'm not even going to belabor the point. I'm saying that the police should investigate this matter, and anybody found wanting must be dealt with according to law. Because you see, we're in this country, if you recall, something not too long ago, there's this lady radio presenter who came up with a story of being raped. The pictures came, I looked at some of the pictures, yes, and I was marveled. I'm like, how can people be this inhuman? But it turned out to be something that was staged, and for whatever purpose, nobody knows. You would also recall a very senior member of the NDC, in fact, one time running mate to Professor Mills, Alhaji Mumuni, his case, he was attacked in his car. We all sat around the table and condemned it. How can you do this? I am told that investigations by the police later revealed that that might not have been entirely true, and that these might have been things that were actually orchestrated and staged by the so-called victims themselves. So, like I'm saying to you, maybe the whole point is to put back the MPP into focus and to give the dog a bad name and hang it. So let us not be too excited. I think that all members of the party should cooperate with the police.
The major concern is that the group of 6 macho men have been linked to the NPP. And as we speak, the police picked up your regional, one of your communication directors,
yes.
or he's the director, really.
Yes, he's the director.
Kwesiche.
Yes.
I know him very well, used
Yes.
to host him on Love FM.
Yes.
They've picked him up and are charging him for
Yes.
the offense.
Yes.
And some other people are being sought after.
Yes.
It's bad that your party once again is tagged with a group that believes in violence.
Well, Randy, Samson, that's the thing. The party is being tagged. That's what I'm talking to you about. The macho men are being associated. Somebody's doing that association. You understand? I'm saying that, like for instance, yesterday, there are reports that macho men on motorbikes invaded registration centers in Kumasi. Okay, so it's easy for me to say that I'm associating that group of macho men to a political party. I'm saying that, for me...
Who will attack Ba Echamfor, and for what? Because he's known already, he did something, he was supposed to face disciplinary action within the party, and so on and so forth. He's been known to be aligned in a way that is not, conducive for the flag bearer. So it's not a mere speculation, but it does appear to have some semblance of, believability.
But that's what it is.
Yes.
And that's what people who are mischievous.
These are MPP guys sponsored to beat up the guy because he's against Nanado.
Yes, but that's what smart, mischievous people who want to give the dog a bad name and hang it do. You understand? I'm saying that you're right, by saying that, Bachanfo has been speaking in a manner that most of us in the MPP find to be improper for somebody who claims to be a party person. But he's been all over in Accra. He's been speaking. He's a regular feature in one of the radio stations in Accra. Okay? The gentleman himself, I have had people come to tell me that Mr. Chamfo has attempted to recruit them in their own words from within the party. These are confessions from people within the party in the Sojaman constituency, for instance, who called me and told me that the gentleman came in the company of another radio presenter who used to work for your media establishment, Mr. Bobi Ansa, to Atimpoku to be precise, and tried to recruit one of our electoral area coordinators to, as it were, peace in. You remember the NDC peace in, peace out thing. So try to recruit people to, as in their own words, make sure Nanado doesn't win. Nobody, I've heard him severally. Nobody's attacked him. Why would we want to go and why don't we, if it is, we would have attacked him long ago. It's not today Mr. Chamfo is making...
Your claim is that this is an orchestration by someone who doesn't like the party or your opponents.
Yes,
or even he himself.
That's my greatest suspicion, yes. Yes.
But what is more believable? That the party doesn't want him and so would like to deal with him?
Well, the party has a way of dealing with people. You understand? Bachanfo has been held before organs of the party, okay? Bachanfo has been spoken to by persons in the party who feel that what you're doing is wrong. He's been talking in Accra. It's not the first time. The things, the untruths he peddles around, he doesn't only do it in Kumasi, he does it all over the place. And he didn't just start yesterday. He's been doing this for God knows how long. Well, how come we haven't attacked him and all that? And I'm saying that, you see, I'm not just a commentator, I'm a practitioner on the field. And as a practitioner, I know what politicians are capable of doing. And I just gave you examples. You are talking about believability. When you saw those pictures of Ada, would you have believed that Ada did this thing to herself? When Alhaji Mumuni of the NDC, running mate, senior member of the NDC, faked that he was attacked. If you heard the story, would you have believed it? But you see, when the issues unravel and the disclosures are fully made, then you come to appreciate the. But I am telling you, because I am a practitioner on the field. Okay. I know things that I may not do.
Now hold on, let me hear from Kobe, and obviously, I know that it is contentious for him to say that Mumuni faked his attack.
That is why my senior wanted
okay, that he faked his attack, because I mean you cannot say that categorically. Now, from what he says, Kobe, I'm thinking that if this guy were to organize this himself, and that's what he wants us to believe is possible, and then the people will come in there, they did not only, as the reports show, did not only beat Bachanfo, but they beat up the presenter he was hit. One of his producers also seemed to confirm that he had also been hit.
Yeah, but I think my senior wants to make a clarification with regards to the Alhaji Mumuni aspect. So if
no, it's you I'm asking to speak now, so you go ahead.
Well.
Yes, Alhaji Mumuni, he says something. I've told him that he cannot say that categorically, because I mean that's not proper.
Well.
Right.
Okay. Now, good morning and good to be back again. I found your first word very, very interesting, because as a former policeman, I'm very much interested in things that give the police service a very good image.
Right.
But trust me, it is true that there are some very, very naughty policemen out there, and they are not doing the work any good at all.
You just take a call from their girlfriends.
I met a bunch of them last night, and my experience with them was very, very rough.
There are some very good ones.
Very, very good, very professional policemen.
You can go there without any assistance of a lawyer, and they will assist you nicely.
And they will even make sure that you know what you can do and what you cannot do, right, and educate you. Okay. But not the bunch that I met yesterday on GP 3875. They are just a bunch of crooks. Trust me.
All right.
Now, on this matter of, I am very, very surprised at the drift my brother Pius wants us to take this morning. First of all, I see this whole thing as a whole attack on freedom of speech, freedom of expression and freedom of association. And it is in that light that I expected my brother to come and say, look, let's take the person of Bah Achamfor, what he had been saying or had not been saying, whether what he had been saying is true or is not true, out of the picture. And let's deal with the attack on freedom of expression and freedom of association.
And a criminal act. The attack is criminal.
The criminal. You understand? And that is why I'm so surprised that he's trying to like rationalize it and make it look
Has
like.
He?
Well, that is the impression I get from him.
Okay.
That is the impression I get, that, well, he has been saying it and nobody has attacked. No, please. And to make it look like it is how do you call it, an orchestration to give the party a bad image. Come on, if Bah Achamfor wants to do an orchestration, or I am Bah Achamfor and I want to do an orchestration and give the party a bad image, what better place to do it than in Accra? Why go to Kumasi, Fox FM? You understand? So I don't get this whole thing. And I think that I'm so surprised that up to now, the very loud section of our society that talks about freedom of expression when there are such attacks have been very loud in their silence. Very, very loud in their silence. I think that what has happened is something that if the MPP, especially the Akufo-Addo, how do you call it, faction of the MPP, who are seen to be the ones against whom Bah Achamfor is speaking, do not come out to condemn this unreservedly, what it does is that it creates the condition for others to be attacked in future. What it means is that if you don't want to be attacked like Bah Achamfor, you cannot speak against Akufo-Addo. You cannot say things that Akufo-Addo faction would find unpalatable and unsavory. And so once they find it unsavory, well, they may not instigate the attack, but they won't raise a finger to defend you when the attack happens. They may even come and suggest that it was an orchestration by you yourself and some others to give the party a bad image. That is the kind of thing that is happening. And what that does is that it encourages this kind of impunity. It encourages this kind of attacks on people who hold a dissenting view. And then, because you don't want to be attacked, then you have to be quiet. And so it kills freedom of expression. It kills freedom of dissent. Democracy is inherently, how do you call it, a system that says, Kebi, Mamin Kebi. It means that we will not always agree. Who Kebi, na me agree, I don't have to Kebi. But if I disagree, I have to Kebi. And so that is why it is Kebi, Mami Kebi. And so if I am saying my part, and you find it unsavory, and so long as I am not insulting, in any case, the democratic processes allow for you to take me on by way of going to court where I have wrongly said things about you, by way of reporting me to the party elders, assuming you don't want to use the court as a first option. Invoke the disciplinary processes of the party against me, but not to instigate people to come and attack. At this stage, I don't have any evidence to show that somebody. No, I'm clear. I don't have any evidence to show that. But I'm saying that the fact that there is a lack of condemnation, the fact that there is a lack of total abhorrence of what had happened, it gives.
What you mean is that you're expecting an official statement from the NPP.
Long ago.
Official statement.
Long ago.
It doesn't matter that executives of the NPP have spoken and condemned this.
No, but the party hasn't spoken. The flag bearer's office hasn't spoken. As we sit here right now, I have seen activists of the flag bearer's office on social media putting out the line
when
that...
you hear the National Communications Director at the national level, if you hear the acting organizing secretary, if you hear them say and condemn it, that's not sufficient for you.
No, honestly speaking, I haven't heard. But then even if they have, I am saying that this is grievous.
Okay.
This is something that the party itself must speak to.
Okay.
Where is the release? This is something that I expect the flag bearer who had been presented
Hold on 1 minute. You said the party has spoken. He says that what he expects is a formal official communication. Is that something that has been done by the party? Or you don't think that's
necessary?
necessary?
We haven't issued a statement on paper, but the General Secretary of the party has spoken and condemned it.
All right.
The Director of Communications for the party has spoken and condemned it. Even me here on the set, I've condemned the act. But I'm saying that let us not be too quick to say that these and these persons are the ones responsible, because you may never tell.
Okay.
And so...
All right. So like you're saying, they have, and that's, as far as they are concerned, that's sufficient.
Well, it may be sufficient for them, but it's not sufficient for me.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
I am saying that for me, this is an issue that goes beyond an attack on an individual.
Right.
It's a whole attack on principles that we hold dear, that the Constitution of Ghana guarantees for us.
Right.
And as a journalist, and I speak on matters sometimes unsavory to the Akufo-Addo camp, sometimes unsavory to the whole MPP. So I must walk around in fear that I would be attacked one day, and all do is my friend John Boyd, acting as the General Secretary, will come and say, oh, it is bad enough. No. You see, that level of seriousness also sends us an inhibition, or rather a stay.
All right,
others who have that same edge.
Thank you. Let's hear from Kweku and the Media Foundation for West Africa, the entity that, in my own small way, I think it appears the GJA has outsourced its work to, has condemned the attack, issued an official statement, condemned the attack, and asked everybody else, well-meaning Ghanaians, to condemn the attack on Ba Chamfor and the other guys who were in the studio.
Yeah, but quick one. The Alhaji Mohammed Mumwini's incident, accident, rather, the car accident. The police investigation showed that it was an accident, that it was not a deliberate attempt by political opponents to sabotage the campaign or to kill him. So the earlier assertions by Sidwin Ketia, Joe Metro Nunu, and the rest that they smelt an elephant, and all those things were discarded. Okay. So let's put it. It's the same.
He did not stage it, has been alleged.
But that's what I'm but you see, you are jumping the gun.
Accident.
You are jumping the gun. If the police said it was accident, what
he
does
was
it
saying
mean?
that he staged it. It's more like he staged the accident.
Yeah. So his confirmation is that the police report said this was an accident, so it could not have been staged.
It's same with the Baumia accident, that Sir John attempted to read or smell an umbrella in it. That also police investigations indicated was an accident. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
We've had these instances around, and it's well documented. I have the police report on the Mumwini incident. Okay.
No,
So,
but how about the one about a gunshot that was from inside the car rather
No,
than
that
from
was
you are talking of a different man,
the now
Kumbo.
Interior
Yes,
Minister.
yes.
The police report
That's
showed
right.
that
That's
the
right.
gunshot came from within.
Right.
So his assertion that there was an
So
attempt
you mean that is what you
killing-
wanted to refer to?
That's what I wanted to refer
Yeah,
to.
So
but,
they should withdraw the first one.
Well, but even the first one, you see, there's some similarities.
There's no similarity.
Even the Mumuni one.
Please, there's no
Well, anyway,
Okay.
let's
move on. Yeah.
Let's,
That's the correct
don't say don't say
no
no.
similarity.
Okay. Let's hear from Kweku. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, there is no doubt that what happened at the Fox FM station is unacceptable and should be condemned outright. Whether it was stage managed or not stage managed, there was violence. There was a swallow. It's obvious that there was a swallow and there was a victim. Now, as to who did it and how it was done, I think police investigations are going on.
Right.
And soon we may know what the results are or the findings are. I've actually asked for consistent police updating so that we kill this whole subculture of rumors and speculations, some of which turn out to be mischievous, and it doesn't help anybody.
Right.
But clearly, some people invaded the studio and assaulted the gentleman, regardless of what he was saying. That's immaterial for me at this particular moment. So an act of criminality was committed. In fact, I can understand Kobe's point about free speech, all the rest. It's important. Indeed, the security architecture of the station itself must come under consideration. And I made this point on a piece last Wednesday, and an elder friend of mine, he's an elder statesman, sent me a text showing the architecture. You know that apparently there's a fenced, it's a part of a fenced community, the Prempeh Assembly
Yes.
Hall is
Yes.
in there and other things. But strictly speaking, he still thought the security structure is weak relative to the station. All of us are at risk. If people can walk in here anyhow because of what I'm saying or Kofi is saying and come and attack us, it's serious.
Yeah.
So it's something we ought not to joke with. And I think that the police must fast track the investigations. And if the evidence points to some people, they should arrest them, prosecute them, and possibly let the court convict and sentence, because we are looking for a deterrent. That culture of deterrence. It's in our inherent interest, all of us. Otherwise, next time going to a studio to talk, you think you are endangered and you can't speak your mind. And that's where Kobe has a point in terms of the free speech thing. So I don't think we should belabor this point. Those who think was stage managed, it was planned and things, they should hold their fire for now and let the police investigations vindicate them. But if you proceed with that ahead of the outcome of police investigations, you may be, people will doubt what you are saying because they think you are pursuing a certain self-interest. You are trying to purge yourself ahead of the police outcome.
But the police investigation may bring a result that is official, but there may be an unofficial result that is rather the truth.
No.
Because it's not the case that whatever the police conclusion is always the truth.
No. Yeah, but that, let's see the results before we can question it.
Right.
You see, it is when the results come that you are able to interrogate the results, see the inconsistencies in it, the inadequacies, the insufficiencies, and then you can say that this police report is not credible. And I agree with you, that is an institution. Sometimes they can get things wrong. Okay? So that's true. But otherwise, then let's forget about the police. Let's all go and do our own investigations. When we finish, we set up our own courts and we try the suspects. Is that what we are asking for? That's not an alternative that any of us will endorse. Clearly, there was an assault. If that guy stage managed that assault, he must be a big fool indeed. And excuse my language. Yeah, excuse my language. But if he did that, I saw some few things on his face. I'll be surprised. So I'm sorry to have used the word fool. These days I have to choose my words carefully.
No, but the context is right. Why would you subject yourself to be brutalized just to create
And Kofi, how is it going to be? And I think the major, the other fear is that once these things come up, their opponents, the NPP, have got some arsenal they are going to use, and in the whole week you see that it is played out, where you have your commentators, continue to use this and link it to Nanado and talk about how the NPP is not ready for government and how Nanado is violent, and so to speak. I mean, from what we have discussed here, is there a guarantee that you guys will not take this to the campaign?
Thank you very much. Good morning to your viewers. Let me say that this is not just about a campaign matter. This is a matter of life and death. This is a matter of rights of persons who are Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians living in this country who have a right to speak being attacked. And therefore, we will approach it from that point. We will approach it from that point because this is not just an isolated incident. We can cite many other examples. Indeed, the multimedia platform has once been attacked. The Asempa FM, a live program, there was an invasion and an attack on Bobie, if you remember very well. During your media activities, reporting on election-related matters, journalists from multimedia have been attacked. And I remember late Jacob Bichabilamte leading a delegation to come and actually apologize to some of the media houses that were attacked by the MPP apparatchik.
So I have been attacked, I have been beaten, and asked to jump into an armored car, and I refused.
Let's not be selective.
And I have been threatened, most recently,
I don't want to give
been
examples.
threatened because I had made certain comments about somebody, and I left it, I gave it to the police, and they are still investigating. So, this season, some of your supporters sometimes, how they go about what they do, it may not have been sanctioned by the party, but on their own initiative, they will threaten and they will seek to attack.
Sure. I doubt if it will be sanctioned by the party, but the levels of sometimes discussions that you do when people make comments encourage some of these characters in the party to act the way they act. If you engage in a discussion in a manner to be able to respond to such expose with what you describe as maybe the correct information or the right, if the person is peddling falsehood, physical attack would not be the alternative. And for me, that is why I condemn it entirely. I know because maybe consistently we hear a report of what he says, but Bahachamfo, if I've listened to him, is not entirely, he's not against the MPP because he has also said very good things about the MPP. He speaks against what he feels is wrong, either morally or constitutionally. And I believe that that is a right that he is there. He still started this crusade about the opening of or activating of a dormant account and putting money into it and getting people who were not qualified by the
which led to all the Polafoko matters and what we are now.
And where we are now. So he's led a crusade on a very positive note, talking about things that he feels are wrong and are wrong.
You make me laugh.
The Constitution.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That
is very sorry.
That's the case. So I will join in the condemnation, and I'm happy also that Kweku, at least, and your good self, try to correct Pius, and then he himself realized that he was making a completely an analysis that do not fit in here. When somebody gets an accident, sometimes you, the person who suffers the accident, you begin to think all round and begin to look at what may lead to that accident. And so therefore, Alhaji Mumuni was not wrong, or anybody who thought that way was not wrong. Just as I will not think that Sir John was wrong. But an investigation has come out clearly. And for anybody to continue to repeat and suggest what Pius sought to do this morning, for me, is really bad. In trying to justify a wrong that has been committed by allegedly his party persons. Because why would they say his party persons? Because it was their communication director who was first to rush in there. And not too long after, these guys who came, I'm told, on 3 motorbikes riding in 2s, comes in and then assault these persons.
I didn't even know this.
Oh yeah, that's what has been put out. So to appear there and all of a sudden have these persons there and to attack the people that they attack, you cannot really delink the party completely from it. And that's why I agree with Kobe that a formal statement would have helped. And I also agree with Kweku that it is dangerous for Pius and
when you say formal statement, you mean a written statement?
A written statement.
But is it always the case?
Or a design program intended to respond to that, not when you are called by a media house.
But you do that.
What I'm saying is
there are issues about the NBC, and you are called as a national organizer. And when you speak to it, it is the position of the party.
I'm saying that
this depends on the seriousness.
This is an attack. This is an attack on the freedoms that are enshrined in our national constitution, and the party claims supposedly to have been pushing, and that is why I expect them to do a formal thing. I also agree with Kweku, as I was saying, that it is dangerous for persons within MPP to begin to approach this matter from a point of being stage managed. It is better rather for you to stay off and remain with the condemnation of an act that is wrong and wait for a police outcome rather than pursue this trajectory of claiming that it's possible because Ada faked. This is not an Bahachamfo's case is not an Ada case.
Why?
It's been reported by media persons who were there. It isn't just Bahachamfo who is speaking. The host of the program, the producer, the police itself. And this is completely different from Ada's case of just seeing pictures This is a matter that even persons have been arrested. So don't be comparing this kind of situation to justify a serious wrong, serious infraction that we must talk about. So to answer your question, for us, it is not just a matter of campaign, but it's a matter of how secure people can be under a certain leadership.
All right, so
this
was supposed to be a matter for preliminary commentary, but it's taking quite a bit of time. You see, it is important to look at some of these issues so that we all guide ourselves going into the elections, because we know during elections or when we are getting into the elections how some of these attacks come up and so on and so forth. And like Kuku said, the police must be seen to be doing a good job to assure people that, and people like Kobe, myself, yourself, that when we get into a studio, we will not be a victim of some of these things. So give me just 30 seconds and let's cut this issue, move on to the next.
I don't have a problem agreeing to a lot of the things that have been said about around the table. I was only addressing the point that already people are pushing the argument that this is an NPP-led attack. They may even be attempting to railroad the investigation in that direction. And I'm saying that no, let us, all of us, including Mr. Adams and Mr. Fiagbe, let us end it at the condemnation.
Those are suspicions.
Yes.
And they may be justified.
That's right.
Just as your suspicions may also be justified.
Right. So it's not, if they can suspect, then I cannot suspect. I mean, it's unfair. And on the thing, I made the point that when the accident happened, immediately it was said that we smell an elephant. It turned out to be an accident. In the case of Mr. Kumbo, immediately they said that the NPP wants to assassinate him. It turned out to be something that he himself, it was not, like, for want of a better word, it was not something.
Internal.
That's
it didn't
right.
Come from
That's
outside,
right. Itimense's son. You remember Honorable Itimense's son? He was abducted from school, and we were supposed to be an NPP project. It turned out
he was not abducted.
He claimed to.
He went out of school to do his nyama.
But claimed that he was abducted.
Was exposed.
Okay, yes. But immediately our political friends on the other side jumped onto it and said that they smelled an elephant. It turned out to be false. So that's why I'm saying that let us all be patient at this point and not be too excited.
So Barton slapped himself.
Why? So let's not do that. If you discount my suspicion, that way, it's not fair. Because why? The Uncle Koko just told you. Uncle Koko just told you that the gentleman himself left school. How about that one?
So
I just told you that.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I don't accept that.
We'll move to the next issue and then.
The police must.
And
was
move on.
assaulted.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one or two messages here, and then I'll move on to the next issue. But I have a lot of your messages. I'll be reading to you shortly. JC Buako from Mamprobi says the NPP is not a violent party. What happened in the studio of Fox was a calculated move by the Ashanti Regional Youth Organizer. Okay, sorry. Organizer of the NDC, rather, to create a bad image of the NPP. Okay, so these wild allegations, like Kuku and the rest have said, we'll have to keep them at the back until we hear from the police. I was surprised when I heard nobody has been arrested after the attack. Well, we heard of the arrest of the NPP's Regional Communications Director. And then Abdul Ibn Fusaini says, NPP is equal to violence. The truth must be told. Okay, so that's where you go, and I can assure you this is how you're going to see it in the election period. Too many of the political entrepreneurs, should I say, will use this and make the capital that they wish to make out of it. Now, Samuel Bryan says that lest we forget, we were in this country when Dr. Kumbo shot his own car and blamed it on armed robbers. We of the NPP believe it was a careful, well-calculated plan and neatly staged. Okay, now.